Hi, I'm Sujay, Feng Shui intuitive here to empower you through this ancient Feng Shui knowledge. Today, I'm sharing updates to the saltwater cure video because there's just not enough information about how to take care of them online. So first, I will share variations of the saltwater cure photos and provide feedbacks on them, and then I'll finish the video with additional FAQs on saltwater cures. Hopefully, by the end of this video, you'll be much more confident about doing this practice. So let's go. First thing first, if you don't know what saltwater cure is, please go watch my other videos on how to make them first. So hopefully, if you're still watching this video, you already know how to make it, you already placed your saltwater cures, and have seen the saltwater cures in action. Funny fact, when I first started making them, I didn't really understand that they required maintenance and even more that they required to be replaced. And yes, saltwater cures do have a lifespan. In fact, when they're left out past their due time, it's possible that they can create more problems than solutions. So let's get right into it. How does a saltwater cure, aka negative energy vacuum cleaner, become problematic? Number one is when you leave them past their due time. If your saltwater cure has overspilled several times already and have used up most of the salts in the jar, they're most likely done. This is also true when the salt crystals have densely covered the entire jar and the dishes below. Now let's talk about why we need to replace them when they are done. The purpose of the saltwater cure is to crystallize and absorb negative energy. Those salt crystals are essentially the physical concentrations of those bad stuff that we want to get rid of. So when the salt water cure is packed with accumulated bad energy, you're just keeping that unwanted energy sitting in the same room with you. At a certain point, they're holding more negative energy in your place than effectively clearing them. So how do we know when it's time? Because everyone can have different opinions about when the saltwater cure is done. I'm going to share as many variations of these saltwater cures because you know what they say, picture is worth 1,000 words. I will share which saltwater cures need replacement now and also the one that need replacement soon. You'll also get to see which one are working great and the ones that are not so great. By the way, thank you to everyone who have shared your saltwater cures because your contribution helps all of us to learn and better understand this practice. Okay, let's go through the pictures, shall we? Let's start with the heavily active saltwater cures that are done. If your saltwater cure looks like any of these, it's time for replacement. Notice how they're completely covered in crystals. Some have more rounded appearance with large volumes of crystal growth, and others have long, stringy, and spiky looking crystals. Personally, those are the ones that gives me the biggest creeps. But regardless, when they're completely covered like this and have spilled over and covered your plates as well, you want to really tune in and ask yourself if the saltwater cure feels positive or negative in your space. All of these, in my personal opinion, need to be replaced. So, what are my thoughts about these variations? Everything in our environment mirrors the energy in some ways. I've found that all these crystal formations seem to carry a certain feeling or personality. They remind me of Dr. Emoto's water experiments, where there's different intentions appear to produce very different crystal patterns. The appearance of these saltwater cures gives me a glimpse into a quality of the energy that's absorbing. The feeling that you get when you're looking at them is probably what they're absorbing. Of course, this is my personal observation, but after seeing hundreds of saltwater cures over the years, I've noticed that their crystal formations often seem to tell a story of their own. So now we're moving on to the saltwater cures that need replacement soon, meaning they should be replaced within few months. But honestly, if this was a winter month with only few months remaining for these saltwater cures, I would just leave them in place. However, since we're just entering summer and there's still a long way to go for these saltwater cures, I recommend replacing them soon. These cures have already developed significant crystal buildup and have used much of the original salt, which tells me that they're nearing the end of their cycle. Also, it's important to note that these are my personal opinions about their lifespan. The truth is, you know your saltwater cure best and your environment. So if they look like this and your intuition says they're done, trust it. And here are the ones that are looking great and obviously with a lot more time left. You can leave them in place and just add the water when necessary. You can also tell from these photos that the saltwater cures still work without the metal coins inside, but not as well as the one with the coins. Also, please be careful not to have your curtains or any other items touching them. Be even more careful not to place them directly onto the surface without a plate or protection because your surface will get ruined. This happened to me several times. They would just spill out suddenly, and if you're not watching them daily, you can potentially ruin your surfaces, and we really don't want that. If you have non recyclable plastic lids, this is a really good place to use one. Also, if you have your saltwater cure growing just on one side, I would just personally move the jar to that side as possible, as this probably means that the negative energy is present more towards that direction. I really love seeing so many variations of glass jars and even the formations of crystals on all of these. Okay, so I don't know what is going on over here. My guess is that they were trying to cover the salt crystals from being touched by their animals, but I'm not sure. I personally don't recommend doing this because this creates more salt crystals from falling off the place and creating more problems than solution. Okay, this one I will let you decide if you want to replace it or not. But personally, it doesn't really feel good seeing so many dead bugs inside. One or two can happen, but if it's multiple like this, I would just replace it. Lastly, the proportion to the salts and the water is so important for your saltwater crystals to work efficiently. If you place too little salt, your saltwater cure won't last long. It will be too weak. So I recommend that you fill up close to half of the container. And as for the water, you want to keep it not more than 1 or 1.5 inches above the salt. This will ensure the most effective saltwater cure for your home. Here are some of the most asked questions, starting with when is the right time to place a saltwater cure? You can make your saltwater cure at any time of the year, anytime. But regardless of when you place it, you want to remove it by February 4th, 2027, which marks the end of 2026 based on lunar calendar. Now, is it the end of the world if you didn't do it exact date? No, you just want to do it close to that date for the best result. Where should I place one in my home? For 2026, the most important location are the south and the north sector of your home because we have the negative afflictions here for the year. But you can also do it anywhere. Yes, anywhere. There's no harm as long as you're taking good care of them. It is also a good practice to place one near your front entrance to help clear and refresh the energy entering your space. How do I dispose of the saltwater cure? Oh, yes, this question. When disposing of a saltwater cure, wear gloves and handle it carefully. Flush the remaining water if there's anything left in the toilet. Then double back the remaining content before placing them in the trash. If you live near the ocean and prefer a more sustainable option, you may rinse the contents in the ocean and recycle the glass afterwards. I do not recommend reusing the jar, coin, or any other material after you completed your saltwater cure. Is there another option if you don't want to throw everything away? Yes, you can simply place the coarse salt in the jar without the water or the coins. The coarse salt alone will still absorb the negative energy, although you won't be able to visually monitor the activity. I recommend replacing the salts at least once throughout the year. As for disposing them, add a little water to soften the hardened salt because the salt can get rock solid over time. When it's ready, flush them down the toilet and rinse the rest of the salt remaining in the jar. And voila, you can reuse the jar again. Why does my saltwater cure look blue or orange? You may notice that many saltwater cures develop blue or blue-green color over time. This is one of the most common questions I receive, and many people wonder whether it has a special energetic meaning. In my experience, the blue and the blue-green color is generally the result of a chemical reaction between the metal coins, moisture, oxygen, salt, and water. It tends to happen more often with copper-based coins. Copper-based coins are used, but it can occur with any other material as well. There are many physical factors that can influence how the saltwater cure develop, including the amount of moisture in the air, the quality of the water, the amount of oxygen exposure, and the type of coins used, and even the type of salt. For example, I often see people using Himalayan salt, which works perfectly well for the saltwater cures. However, because of its natural mineral content, it can sometimes create reddish or orange colored crystals formation. So please don't worry too much about the color of the saltwater cures and what type of coins you used. You can use any coins, and regardless of whether your crystals appear white, blue, green, reddish, or any other color, your saltwater cure is still doing a job. The color itself is generally the reflections of the physical materials and the environmental conditions involved, not the indication that the one cure is working better than the other. What if I have children or pets? If safety is your concern, I recommend using the dry salt method mentioned before. A jar filled with coarse salts is enough for clearing. Can I move my saltwater cure while cleaning? Yes, just be very careful not to spill it. If you do spill them though, thoroughly clean the area and consider doing some space clearing afterwards. Can I place a saltwater cure in front of the mirror? I don't recommend it. In Feng Shui, mirrors amplify whatever they reflect. Since the saltwater cure is absorbing and holding on to the unwanted energies, I prefer not to have them process doubled within your space. What are some of the red strings tied around saltwater cures? Some practitioners tie red string around the jar as a symbol of protection, strength, and yang energy. Personally, I don't use red string because I like to keep mine clean. However, if it feels meaningful for you, you definitely can. Why doesn't my saltwater cure look as intense as others? Okay, there are several possible reasons. The simplest explanation is that your space may have less negative energy to absorb, which is great. It may also be that it's located outside the area most afflicted by the annual afflictions. While the north and the south sector are generally recommended for 2026, the exact placement varies from home to home depending on your home's floor plan. Um, Compass measurements, and magnetic pole corrections. Another important factor is your home's permanent feng shui blueprint. Some homes naturally contain more challenging energies in certain sectors, which can result in more dramatic crystal growth. The intensity of the saltwater cure is influenced by many factors, including annual energies, permanent energies, humidity, and environmental conditions. This is why no two saltwater cures will look exactly the same. Can a saltwater cure fix the negative energies in my home? Not entirely. A saltwater cure is designed to neutralize additional annual afflictions that are happening annually in your home. However, it is not a cure for all for your wealth or health, relationship, or any other challenges. Those issues are unique to your personal journey and your energetic blueprint of your home for a reason, aka soul purpose and moving into your home. There are remedies that are supportive of those specific concerns when you work with a feng shui practitioner, and they're highly individualized as they should. I mean, there's no one medicine that's a cure for all. Saltwater cure is helpful, but not a cure. Can a saltwater cure remove negative entities? No. A saltwater cure helps to absorb negative energies, but is not designed to remove spiritual entities or address paranormal activities. Persistent paranormal activities often require a different approach. In those cases, I recommend working with experienced space clearing practitioner or geomancer who can assess the land and geopathic stress and any other environmental influences that are contributing to that issue. Also, there's always a reason why you're experiencing them in the first place. So try to approach the situation with more curiosity than fear. Can I place them outside my home? No, it's not necessary. We place the remedies in our home because it's an energy that we entrap into a space. Outside, Mother Nature knows best how to make things back into balance. We don't need to place them outside, but we can try to keep the area respectful and free of clutter. So that completes our saltwater cure update video. If you have any other additional questions, please leave it in the comment below. And if this helped you and you want to support my channel, please subscribe and hit that like button for me. I love you all, and I'll be back with more videos soon. Thank you. Bye.